You're going to begin? Okay.
I'm just going to begin
keep
because,
quiet. Okay.
you know, everybody here, I'm sure has heard this, and how many, you've heard glutathione?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Have you heard glutathione? He joins the big crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, glutathione is a little protein molecule.
Okay.
It's in every cell of your body. And it's, without it, you're gone. You're dead. That's all there is to it. And the higher glutathione levels are, the stronger you're going to be. But let's get into the start of the situation. Back in 1979, when the doctors at McGill University, professors of medicine and researchers, were testing out various proteins to see which ones would be the best suited for people in hospital, that they could give to those people and get them out of the hospital quicker. Prior to this, back in 1964, Dr. Buenos, the chief of this research project, and Dr. Consheven, both noted at McGill University. Dr. Buenos has a little picture and certificate on his wall at McGill. It was presented to him by the United States Congress for his work in nutrition, called the elemental diet, a diet that they use in hospitals around the world, helping people get out of hospital faster. The College of Physicians and Surgeons in Canada awarded Dr. Buenos, I guess you can say, the Distinguished Gold Medal for his work in nutrition. And that was back in 1964. So he's been working at McGill and at, in conjunction with various hospitals he's a surgeon. And Dr. Consheven, she came in from England, and she was a noted biochemist, noted immunologist, and together they started working on this project to see what protein would be best suited. One day they received a supply of this protein from Switzerland. So they started working with it, and sure enough, all good things were happening. You know, the mice were living longer, tumors were shrinking. Oh, what's going on here? They didn't know why, but they knew that this special milk formula that was sent to them, because it was an overburden. What was happening is they were putting the excess of this milk into the canals, and the canals were all blossoming with algae like there was no tomorrow. So they had to find a way what to do with this, and so it was sent to Dr. Buenos because they found out he was doing some work in that field. And anyway, to make a long story short, it went from 1979 to 1989. They were working and working and working on it, and they didn't know what was happening. Nobody back then ever really heard of glutathione. For the first 100 years, from 1899 to 1999, in the public medical library, where all studies go to, there was only 6,000 total on glutathione in 100 years. If you typed in PubMed now and glutathione, you're at 137,000 studies. So in the last 20 years, in all of medicine, that little protein molecule called glutathione has dominated. There's nothing else even close to all the submissions to public medical library. So anyway, they started working, and it just so happened that Dr. Buenos usually had coffee in his research room. He never went to the cafeteria. But this one day he did. He sat next to an immunologist who was working with cancer. And so he got talking shop, what he's doing. He didn't know what was happening. And then this Dr. Sylvain Baptiste said, I know what's happening. You're raising glutathione levels. And Dr. Buenos said, glutathione, what is that? So they started doing research on that, and sure enough, that's what was happening. So they started more intensive research, and more things were happening. Everything they tried on the animals and mice were positive. And again, what does glutathione do? Well, First off, it's the body's key to the immune system. Glutathione, GSH for short, you want to write that down, GSH, is the body's key to the immune system. The higher glutathione levels, the stronger the immune system. It's also the body's major detoxifier. It'll detoxify the 12 major carcinogens that hit you, like cadmium, arsenic, leads, mercury, and all the others. And those 12 get diffused by glutathione, get taken out of the system. Also, every single day you're bombarded with thousands of chemicals. And there's no way, doesn't matter what you do, there's no way you can eat the proper foods that give you enough glutathione to offset the carnage that hits you throughout the day. Okay, all those chemicals, water, air, the room here, off-gassing of everything that we walk into, all are chemicals, and that's what's doing us in. You see so many people kicking the bucket these days, you just wonder what's going on. What's going on is chemical. I mean, from the end of the Second World War to now, there's about 88,000 new chemicals, and most of them don't even know the interactions of those chemicals with each other. So unless you can protect your immune system, then you're going to be working on an upward slope, climbing a slippery slope all the time. So anyway, the other thing it does is the body's master antioxidant. Glutathione is the key to bringing in what the other oxidants you take, like your vitamin E, your vitamin A, all the other antioxidants you take, need a host to get through the cell wall. The host is glutathione. So it comes knocking at the cell. If you have enough glutathione in your cell, it brings it in. And if you, let's say you took 1,000 units of vitamin C, okay? 1,000 units, it goes into the cells. Now, if your glutathione levels are high, they will take that 1,000 units and multiply it times 5 to 7 times. So it'll be 5,000 units of vitamin C working for you. But if your immune system is down to maybe 30%, now you're only using, of that 1,000, 300 is making use in the cells of the body. So it's the body's master antioxidant. It's also the key to increased energy. There's a little saying we use, it's AIDE. A for antioxidant, I for the immune system, D for detoxification, and E for energy. And when you just look at that part of it, a lot of work we did at McGill University, and all the research was done at McGill, and it's still ongoing. We're still tweaking the product that we made. We're still tweaking it. And in August, we did a submission to the International Congress on Alzheimer's and Schizophrenia, done by the University of Denver. Dr. Parker, University of Denver, did the presentation. Immediately after the presentation, we filed a patent for Alzheimer's. So, I mean, that's just one of, right now we have 79 medical patents worldwide. Now, to get a patent like that, it takes anywhere from 4 to 7 years, but it's there. It's not hokey-pokey stuff. It's the real McCoy. We currently have anti-cancer patents. We have patents for the immune system, patents for HIV and AIDS, patents for makeup of the product. Now we got this patent going in for Alzheimer's. Okay? So anyway, so AIDE, antioxidant, immune system, detoxifier, energy, and I always like to put in, if you want to slow down the aging process, you better bring up your glutathione levels. Because when the glutathione levels are high, you're just feeling pumped. Now for me today, I was working at the ski house. I worked part-time. But today we had 38 cartons come in of skis and boots. I got there at 9:30. They arrived at 10. We lugged them off the truck at the back. I started opening up all the boxes, taking all the boots out, right till 5 o'clock. Now I'm almost 80 years old. How could I do it? Well, the E for energy, it just gets you stronger than you should be. I mean, I work out enough too, so that's part of it. So anyway, when we first got going, we were a natural food product. Okay? It was stemming from milk. Now what Dr. Bonus and Dr. Conshaven did was they extracted the minute subfractions of milk. Not just hokey-pokey milk with late lactose and all that stuff. The minute subfractions. It takes 125 gallons to make a kilogram of our product. Now that's, again, subtracting the minute subfractions of milk, the good things in milk. And it doesn't matter if you're lactose intolerant whatsoever, there's less than 1% lactose in it. Now, you would think, okay, milk, I'm allergic to milk, as I said, you're allergic to lactose and stuff like that, so no. But there are certain people who have to shy away from this. Those who have a protein intolerance, and that's probably 1 in 100,000 would have that intolerance. And the others are those who have a transplant, heart transplant, lung transplant, liver transplant. Those who have that transplant have to suppress the immune system. Okay? Now, you would think you hear a lot about autoimmune diseases. I just have a thing probably in my bag. There's 154 different autoimmune diseases. Now, autoimmune diseases, the one you mostly hear about are fibromyalgia, arthritis. That means the immune system is racing, and those people have to, not have to, but they get the medication to slow down the immune system. Well, what they're doing is compromising the entire immune system. What Dr. Buenos at McGill said, you don't have a runaway immune system, you have a free radical immune system. It only stands to reason. Your immune system is racing. Now, what do we do when we optimize your immune system? But it also works in reverse to bring your immune system back into balance. And that's the key for all those autoimmune diseases. You have to bring the immune system back into balance and kill off all the free radicals so that you can live a healthier life. Okay, now, as I said, there's 154 different autoimmune diseases. You would think, oh boy, but when you start looking at the list of all those autoimmune diseases, you just shake your head and say, holy moly, how does anyone survive? There's so many of them. So anyway, we're in that front. Now, as time went on, we were a natural food product, and the pharmaceutical industry, they heard what's happening, and they started knocking on the door, but Dr. Buenos didn't want it to go to pharmaceutical. He knew what he had in his laboratory, and he knew what was happening. And so they started applying for medical patents back in the early 90s and in the mid-90s and in the 2000s. They started applying for different patents. But to get a medical patent, you can't do it with a natural food. They had to change not the makeup, but the wording for that to have this become a drug, not a natural food product. It had to be a drug. So that's what happened, and then we can apply for those patents. Now, once we started applying, and once the pharmaceutical industry got hold of what was happening, they were knocking on the door every week. Every single week they were knocking on the door, wanting to get this product, because they heard what it did. Now, the rest of the world, researchers, had started getting on to Dr. Buenos' work. Because, they share their work with each other. And that's why so many articles started to appear in PubMed, because the rest of the world had got a handle on what glutathione can do for the entire body, not just one particular thing, the entire body. Because it's every cell of your body, and this works at a cellular level. A cellular level. Now, what Dr. Buenos and Dr. Conshaven did was they were taking those millions of the makeup of the product, and the key was to form tripeptides, 3 protein molecules bonded together. By doing this, they were able to get it into the digestive tract, through the digestive tract, and into the bloodstream unharmed, up into the cells right afterwards, okay? So no damage was done. Whereas if you were to go into your natural health food store and pick up a bottle of glutathione, Dr. Gutman, the author of this book here, it's one of 6 books he wrote, said they might as well leave the parking lot, open the window, and dump out that for the value of it. Because when you take it, the digestive tract destroys a lot of it, and what gets through and into the bloodstream and into the cell, the molecules are too large to get in. So just like many other things, it's a waste of money. And it wasn't, it's, you know, it's testing not just for a year, but it's gone on now for 40 years. 40 years of testing pretty well to keep working on this. Now, when the drug companies called, Dr. Buenos knew what would happen. So he wanted to form some type of company to get this out to the general public so that everyone could have it and not someone being charged $12,000 for a month's supply or whatever they would charge. And they would charge a lot. So it just so happened that the person who was putting in the $14 million of research money, that's what it costs. Research is not cheap. But over the years, it was the Dieter Beer. He was an industrialist. He bought in a lot of the stuff from Germany and from Japan, all the, what could I say, the toys that we now have. You know, all the start of the cell phones and start of DVDs and machines like that. So the money was no problem for him. The reason he got going was Dr. Buenos mentioned to him, he said, well, my mother is feeling very, very, very ill. So he said, well, let's do something. So he started that way, gave her some product, and after a couple of months, it was a total new ball game, because she just improved so much, and that's what impressed Dieter Beer about it. So that's why he got on board. Now, the lawyer for Dieter Beer was the same lawyer for a fella who I knew back in the ski industry when I had a ski shop. His name was Chuck Roberts. Chuck Roberts, that jacket right there is Descent jacket. He sold that to me back when I had a ski shop from 75 to 97. And so I knew him, but I didn't know what he had done after he sold this business and got into another business. He got into a network marketing business of all things. And so they approached him, and he just said, you know what, you have something here. And he knew, he's a very smart guy. His grandfather was one of the founders of Kraft cheese. So, you know, but he was a little rebel. He went the other way. He was a ski bum. He was a ski instructor like me, ski bum like me. So we knew of each other for years in that respect. So one day I get a call, and he said, we're forming this company. We want to know if you'd be interested in just finding out about it. He said, we have a fella who's flown in from Calgary. He's coming through to Thunder Bay. I said, yeah, I'll talk to him, no problem. So I went and had lunch with this fella who I'd known from another network marketing company I was in. So how everything comes
together?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I said, look, I'll try the product. So that's what I did. In 1997, I started, the company was formed in 1996. In 1997, I started on the product, and I was a pretty healthy guy. But you just take the product, and after a month, two, you're just something happening. You know it's different than what you've experienced before. It's just something happening in the body that feels really, really good. And the gal I was going with at the time, she started on the product. She had a frozen shoulder. After about 6 weeks, it was fine. She had severe migraine headaches. So much so that she was going to give up her license for driving because, you know, when the sun hits and bang, they just go. She hasn't had a migraine in basically 20 years. And so it was over her skin. A big improvement in skin tone and skin texture. So there was that. And for myself, in 1995, yeah, Dr. Porter, the orthopedic surgeon,
Yeah.
said, Roger, your right hip is shot. I'm going to have to replace it. And I said, oh, well, I'll go along until it falls off, I guess. So I said, just get me a note that I can drive my golf cart and get a golf cart for the golf course. He said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So I started doing that just in the golf cart. But in about 2002, the golf cart calved. And I just started walking. No problem. Walking, nothing. Okay. The hip problem disappeared. Now, I do a lot of ski racing in the wintertime, so I played a lot of tennis, but then I switched to golf, but I still did a lot of skiing and ski racing. And I was able to hold my own against anybody. I went to national championships in Canada, national championships in the US, in my age category, and so of course I had an advantage. I was pretty good athlete in that respect, but skiing was my sport, golf's my nemesis. But what happened in 2016, I'm in a pro race, I come off a jump, and a guy comes off the jump, I heard him, all of a sudden, whoop, he takes me out. And that summer, this hip thing came back. And that fall, I got a hip put in. But in 10 days, I was back at work. You know, it healed. It's the body's major healing. Glutathione is the body's major healing. This one says key to health. Glutathione, your key to health. The other one he has is glutathione, the body's major healing. And that's what it did do. It heals tissue, tendon, ligament. You know, you're all a cell. Aren't we all a cell? So if you have all healthy cells working for you, then good things happen. Bad things that are in the body get expelled, get replaced. You know, your cellular structure get replaced every, what, 7 years, is it?
Yeah, I heard that.
So every 7 years, you got new cellular structure, replacing old, broken down parts, ligaments, tendons. And that is what happened to me as far as my hip goes. It just, the pain disappeared. You know, I worked out all the time, I could run, I could do anything and everything. So that was my story as far as what can happen. And I'll tell you, I've run across a couple of good things and a couple of bad things. One time I got a call, it was 2002. I got a call from a fella in Toronto. He found my brochure, not this one, but a brochure like this, in a doctor's office in Toronto. Go figure, how did my brochure finally wind up in a doctor's office in Toronto? He went in to see the doctor that day. He was told he had an inoperable brain tumor. You have maybe 6 months. Now, of course, he said if you take chemo and that, you might extend it. But his father died from cancer, and he knew the torture he went through when he was taking chemo. He said, I'm not going to do it. But he remembered the brochure after he left, went home and told his wife, he had 5 kids. He was 42 years old, told his wife the situation. They started looking up things online, and they spotted that word glutathione and what it does for the body, and he remembered the brochure. He went back to the doctor's office and he phoned me. He explained the situation. He said, I have an inoperable brain tumor. What do you suggest? I said, well, I know that in this business I've seen a lot of miracles happen, but everybody's different. So he said, well, what do he said, I've been studying glutathione, and what do you suggest as far as the number of boxes and packets I should be taking daily? I said, I think you should be taking 4 a day for the next 3 months. I just 4 a day for the next 3 months, because people go on it, they take 1 a day. Well, that tickles the situation. 2 a day, you start to get on top of the situation. 3 a day, you start to attack the situation. He said, can I take more? I said, you can. If whatever you don't use, it just gets expelled out of the body. So, for the first month, he took 6 packets a day. Of course, now he's going for checkups. The tumor on his brain was the size of a tennis ball.
Oh.
Yeah. So, now he gets going to get some more scans and things done. Started shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. In 3 months' time, he went to get another report from a new specialist, and the specialist said, he looks at it, he says, well, did you have cancer? It doesn't show that you have any cancer on this report whatsoever. So all the tests done, that was eliminated. He used to live down in Oakville. He lives in Burkesville, Saskatchewan. I don't know, that's, how many years ago was that? That's 17 years now. So yeah, he's getting close to 60. So all his kids grew up, saw them all go to school, we saw them all graduate.
Nice.
You know? But there's other things to it. I had a young 12-year-old come back from Toronto. His father said, they gave him a week, an operable brain tumor. He said, no, if he's going to die, he'll die at home. So he brought him back. He just happened to phone Brian Schrader. Brian phoned me. Okay, well, Brian at the time was in this. And so he phones me up and says, Brian, well, here's what we're going to do. So I got his number, and we put him on 4 packs a day. That was in June. He was back at school in September. Okay? Now, I see who's ordering what's going on. All of a sudden, no more ordering of the product. Huh. I just happened to see him and his wife in the store. I said, oh, by the way, what's with the situation that your son is not on the product anymore? He said, well, there's a new experimental drug coming out of Atlanta, and we can't take anything else while we're taking this drug. And I said, well, first of all, you only had a week, 10 days for your son to live. Now here you are, about 6 months, and he's still alive and doing well. Yeah, we know, but you know, they always want more, eh? More. Okay, that's okay, well, that's fine. So it goes along, come April, I see an order going for a box. Huh, how about that? Come May, I saw obituary. You know, you can't, pharmaceutical kill more people than anything else going. You know, everybody knows that. It's just again, chemical. Makeup of different chemicals put together. Sure, a lot of them are good, but there's hundreds of them. And we know what the pharmaceutical industry is doing. They're out there to make money. This company's out there to make a little fraction of that money compared to. Okay? So, anyway, that's just, I've been privy to basically thousands of testimonials on every different topic. So I know the product, I know what it can do. Glutathione, as I said, is made up of those 3 little protein molecules called glycine, glutamic acid, and the all-encompassing cysteine. That's the one taken by itself is very toxic. But bonded together, that little protein molecule, it forms a bond.
a tripeptide. That tripeptide goes up, and when it gets to the cell, it gets handed off to another cysteine, which forms a disulfide bond. One cysteine bringing the other one in, and that's what charges up your glutathione levels in the cell again, makes new glutathione levels. So those three little protein molecules knock on the door, open up, boom. Now, let's just work with one cell. You're working with one cell. If you can take a dying disease cell, and either they'll, see, every single cell in your body wants, they're fighting for their own survival. They all want to survive, and they'll do anything they can to survive. So it's a fight amongst all the cells too. But when all those cells can get the right ingredients to form, you know, the basis for your immune system, then those cells work hand in hand to knock off everything that's bad in the cell and reform new glutathione in that cell. Now, as I mentioned, if that vitamin C goes out, if your glutathione levels are high, multiply it, that 1,000 levels becomes 5,000. Well, 5,000 is a lot better than 300 if the immune system is the other way. Anyone who has cancer, their immune system is running down at around 20%. Now, you figure you're getting all the drugs that are trying to help you along, but your immune system is fighting that, the toxicity of all those drugs. It's fighting to keep that cancer at bay. Now, if you can have enough levels of your white blood cells to go and attack the bad cells, that's an army, it's the armies, okay? You have to win one battle at a time, and if you take, like if you have cancer, and it's, even if it's metastasis, bone cancer, it doesn't matter. Bone cancer is, everyone says you get bone cancer, you're dead. Forget that, that's nonsense. If you can attack the problem with the right ingredient, that cancer can be licked too. I've got so many. My stuff on cancer is 40 pages, double-sided. It could be 200 pages double-sided for testimonials. Right here, now here's, I'll give everybody this too. It says here, 2 million lives touched, millions of testimonials. Now how can we say millions of testimonials from Immunicam? You know why? Because everybody who tried the product has a testimonial. Every single person. And you know, if you want to be here for a long time, raise your glutathione levels. And there's only one safe, convenient, and effective way. And I probably got one in the thing. It's with Immunical. It comes in a box of 30 packets. And the Immunical original is 10 grams. There's an Immunical Platinum for the high athletic types and for the baby boomers. They should be on glutathione platinum. It just adds creatine, 2 potassiums, and another calcium to it to just balance out your pH system, increase your bone strength. It just does a few more little things that people are aging. Everyone starts to go downhill.
I'm interested in the pH aspect of the platinum level. I've not heard of this before. What, are you, does Immunical make a promise if you take the platinum level?
It's in the brochure.
Okay, do you
It's
want
in
to
the
just
brochure.
read a little bit about
Okay, let's go with the Immunical Platinum, the second generation.
Yeah, please,
All right?
please.
Now, the key benefits. Maintains a strong immune system, helps build antibodies. Now,
Okay,
if you
good.
notice, I just want to show you something here.
Yeah,
This is our logo. That's our logo right there.
yeah,
That's antibodies. Okay?
Mhm.
And that's what we work with. We build up those antibodies, which builds up the immune system. Okay, and The immunoplatinum, build antibodies, helps increase muscle strength and enhance performance when combined with regular exercises. It's got CMP, which adds protective peptides, and RMF, which supports bone health and reducing calcium loss.
Okay, yeah.
And it just goes on and on. This was developed by one of the most world-renowned immunologists, Dr. Wolf Drohl.
Okay.
He came over from Germany. He was head of the German Cancer Institute and Heidelberg University. He actually went to the University of Minnesota for a while, then Harvard, and then Heidelberg University, where he worked out.
So I'll need that brochure so I can look over
Yeah.
the relationship of the platinum level intake to the body's pH.
Well, the potency of the platinum just upgrades.
Everything.
Yeah, just upgrades. Now, in Alberta, one of the chiropractors there, Dr. Rogers, he gave some of the boxes to the speed skating, a couple of the speed skaters, and one of the ones who's won 5 medals at the Olympics was on the product, and he said, I'm going to put every one of these skaters on that product. Now this chiropractor, he'd been in business for 38 years, and he said, I've never, ever experienced a product that I give or to sell to somebody, and they bring in people for me. I've never experienced that over and over and over and over again, bringing in more people because of what's happening every time it spreads. It just spreads out, all to the good. You know, but people, you know, with certain illness like fibromyalgia, you take 1 pack a day, oh, you'll find a little benefit, but it's like tickling, a major, major problem. Whereas if you hit it with 2, you start to get into the problem. You get 3, now you get on top of the problem. And it may take 3 or 4 months. But once you get everything in balance, now you can start cutting back a bit. You don't have to keep doing that, you can just cut back a bit. Because now you're on top of a situation, on top of a medical challenge. That's what you want to be. And as I said for myself, as far as, you know, up until this happened, now I can still ski, there's no problem. But Dr. He was in the shop today, Puska said, because he knows skiing, he's got 3 sons, I raced against his sons, and he said, no racing. He doesn't want that thing going, boop, because it's a lot of boom, 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 going around every gate, that bang, 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 bang on the ice. And so I said, I've done it all, I don't have to race anymore. So,
It's your hip to titanium?
yes, yeah, it's titanium.
Are you familiar with old Dr. Johanna Budwig? I think she stumbled on this sort of stuff many years ago. She was using flaxseed oil and quark, and she was taking cancer patients right out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And I guess it was doing sort of the same thing with...
You can raise glutathione levels. There are some things that naturally raise glutathione levels, but not enough, as I said, to offset the challenge that we meet every single day. So anyway, we're still going strong. We now have worldwide, we have 79 pharmaceutical grade patents on cancer, immune system, and HIV and AIDS. Dr. Droge, when he came over, he worked with Dr. Montaegger, who was the discoverer of the AIDS virus and what to do. They worked together, and it was Dr. Droge who discovered that people with AIDS and HIV are immune compromised and very low in glutathione. Very low in glutathione. So Dr. Montaegger, when he wrote his book, you know, he won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. He wrote a book, but a complete chapter is on our product and what it does for the body. You can go, I guess, go into the library and check on that in that chapter there. So, as I mentioned, we've applied for another patent. We're now in 8 different countries. Currently in North America, at different universities in North America, we have 27 different studies going on. So we spend a lot of money on research. That's why we are, you know, the rest are here and we're way above because of the money that's spent. We just don't say something. We analyze it, we research it, and then when it's tested on humans, then we bring it up. And that's the situation. Oh, by the way, I was just mentioning about athletes. 2 Canadian athletes here were on the 4x4 team at the World Relay Championships in the Bahamas. We set the fastest time in August for the whole year. Nobody beat our time. We beat the US and Jamaica. So I mean, because what happens is, our first study was done at McGill University with the elite cycling team. And that cycling team went on a 6-week course with half with our product, half with placebo. And we were able to raise their glutathione levels 35% above norm, which they didn't even know that was possible. Now what that did do was increase muscle strength and muscle endurance anywhere from 11 to 17%. Now when you say, well, okay, 11 to 17%, what is that? Well, when you are able to, say someone's in the Olympics and they're running 100 meter, if they can increase their muscle strength and endurance by 1 to 2%, they go from last to first. So that's just what that little 1% can do. So we did that, and that's just with some of the athletes. We have athletes in every major sport in North America and pro. Our biggest push now is Mexico is dominating. We just opened up in Guatemala, and we had 4,000 people show up for our opening. That's, I mean, when I had Dr. Summersall come here at the Airlane, and another one at the Valhalla, or at the
Victoria Inn.
Victoria.
not that one, but on our Da Vinci Center.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Gutman's been here 4 times speaking.
Ah.
But when we had Dr. Summersall, because we had him on CKPR radio with Rick Smith then,
Oh, my goodness.
and we had another doctor from McGill University sort of saying what Dr. Summersall was saying. He verified it because he wanted someone to, Rick Smith wanted someone to go against him, say, but he just verified everything that Dr. Summersall said because he was so good. He was just a great speaker. But anyway, and so up until that time, I had the biggest crowd, you know, that to see a glutathione presentation. That's a long time ago. But we're dwarfed now by Mexico and Dominican Republic's in there now. The British Isles are in there now. As I said, we have 79 medical patents worldwide, and more on the way. Now, I just want to mention, I can go on and on, but I'm just going to mention the next frontier, right? The next frontier is Immunical and brain health. Okay, we have currently 3 of those studies, and what we think we're going to do is work on some with those people who have concussions.
Oh, good.
Yes, because concussions, it's a big business. When a person gets a concussion, the brain goes mushy all over the place. Now, you never fully recover from a concussion. There's always little strands in that brain that are still broken. You get a second concussion, a third concussion, more strands keep breaking off. And so, you know, we're working on that. And we've got some of the top people in the world, neurologists in the world, working with us. This gal here is working with autism. She's done many, many studies with our product on autism. Now, autism, 2 years ago I was in Florida, I'm sitting there watching the Fort Myers news, and this lady comes on and starts talking about this special protein that helped her son. She said it was just unbelievable. So she said, she was talking with the doctor, and the doctor says, yes, we're going to do a 2-year study on this special protein. Well, I looked behind the doctor, there's boxes of Immunocal behind him. I said, hallelujah. So I mean, you know, that's just one of many studies that's going on. And I've got to approach the university here, see if they want to do something. Yeah. So anyway, brain health is the next frontier for us. And you know, it's just going to keep going on and on because we spend money in the right places to promote it properly so that we have verification of all the things we do. And when you have that, you're not just blowing hot air out your ears and all that sort of stuff. You've got stuff to back it up. And that's what we can do. That's why once Dr. Schroeder was here, one time he was talking about the when strands break your shoelaces and all those little.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The ends of the chromosomes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Apoptosis.
No, that's death.
Telomere?
Huh?
Telomere.
Telomere?
Yeah.
The telomeres, yes.
Yes.
And he was talking about the telomeres, and telomeres determine how long you're going to live. The stronger you keep your telomeres, that's what the little strands in the cells. Now it's like a shoelace unraveling. You know, it starts to, all those strands start to unravel. Well, that's what happens, and those cells break off. And when they start breaking off, you start breaking down. So I said, well, Brian, you know, he says, yes, Roger, I know that glutathione can really help, you know, keep those telomeres strong. And we have stories like, I get a letter every month sent from a very good friend of mine, and I send it out to Rick and other people who want it. But we had them on the telomeres too. Dr. Gutman talking about the telomeres and what happens, and the philosophy that what happens behind each thing is now all how the glutathione really helps repair this, that, and everything. And it does help repair everything. It's the key. And the doctors, I mean, when you take a product, a scientific molecule, it doesn't matter anything in science, but when it's got 125,000 studies, say, in 20 years, that's beyond belief. And only because of the work done at McGill University by the doctors at McGill, the rest of the world got a handle on what glutathione can do for the body. Now those 125,000 studies, well, it's 135,000 or something like that, but it's not just one thing. It's on every part of the body. It's just like, doop, 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 take it all. It's everywhere. So that's what's working for you. And so all these studies are going in only because of the work done by Dr. Brunos, who discovered, because of Dr. Batiste, well, by the way, Dr. Batiste and Dr. Brunos' names on the cancer patent, but because of a chance meeting. Just a chance meeting. And so, glutathione, let's say 20 years ago, how many people had heard of glutathione? It was, now, you don't pick up a magazine. I bet you can't read a health thing in here without seeing glutathione in there. You know, it's just there. And then people promote glutathione, but again, it's in the bottle. And there's another way to get glutathione. It's also intravenous. If you want a quick healing process, say someone's dying, you want a quick healing process, well, you give them intravenous glutathione. And it just charges up the cells, but it's a half-life. It only stays in the cell a very short period of time. Because there's no you can't keep giving intravenous glutathione, it's very, very costly. And I had a person with autism, and they spent, I'll bet you they've spent $500,000 without even a lie on trying to find ways to help their son with autism. Now, their son, he was here in Thunder Bay. He could paint when he was 3 to 4 years old. You can't believe the paintings he could do. It was unbelievable. I have one of them I bought, to support them. And then I told them about Immunical. And so they started taking it. And I said, what's going to happen here is one good thing and one bad thing. The good thing is his autism is going to mellow out. The bad thing is he won't be painting anymore. Because they're focused. It's just like someone with autism can do math like there's no tomorrow, can do something else, can do something like this fella, this little kid could paint. But he started getting better and the painting disappeared. But they spent, and they had intravenous glutathione, used to go down to Phoenix for it. Intravenous glutathione. Now, you can also, even though it's a packet and it's powder, you can put it in water and it will dissolve into clarity, very clear, okay? You can actually use that to give intravenous hits because, as I said, I'm privy to so many testimonials and I've seen this. I've seen stuff on Agent On, it's unbelievable.
You know something? I'd be careful with that because water is not the right osmolarity to be put into your circulation system. Put it with saline.
When you're dying.
Put it with saline.
Well, whatever they use, that's for the system.
Okay, saline, normal saline.
Yeah, it wouldn't, it'd be, maybe, I don't know what it'd be, but for intravenous, because I've read them in hospitals, the doctors agreed to use the Immunical intravenously.
Okay.
So, wherever they put it in, that's the way it's done. So those are just some of the things that I can, as I said, I can go on and on because it's so interesting. This is just something recent that we came up with, Yeah, I'll give you the other one.
So how is it going to get across the brain barrier?
Blood-brain barrier, no
Yeah.
problem.
No problem? It's
Not-
small enough or?
It's absolutely, as I said, tumors shrink.
Okay.
Okay, so that would really help out. There's a lot of things that they didn't think. And another thing with newborn babies, they're finding what? 88 different chemicals in the fallopian tubes now.
Wow.
And that's going from the womb into the baby.
Yeah.
All right? 88. Now, what's the body's major detoxifier? Glutathione. So, when you have something like that working for you, every single mother should be on this product who's having a child. I've had some of them, they call them the Immunical babies. And they said, they come out, they never bother you, then you can sleep all night long, you don't have to get up and run here, run there. So, it's interesting. You want to read on?
I want to read
Yeah.
brain health.
Yeah. This booklet here is on glutathione and cancer. It just tells you about glutathione and cancer and how the glutathione works in conjunction with chemotherapy when you're taking it. It actually helps destroy the cancer quicker and protect the cells around the cancer from being destroyed. All right? So you've got that. And I guess everyone knows this doctor here, Dr. Balch. You've seen him in, the nutritional healing and natural cures for healing. You see it in all the health food stores.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Well, he's a spokesman for Immunical. And, he just, in this tape here, he just tells it like it is, how good it is for you. So if there's, by the way, it's not You know, when I first got into business, the cost for a month's supply was $59.40. Now, it went up once by $2.50, but then we made it change into from a natural food to a drug. Now we have to add 13%, and that boosted. Now it just went up, so it went up another 40 cents or 50 cents. So the cost, there's two costs for it. For me, the retail price would be $103. I get a 30% discount, and a customer just taken would get a 25% discount. So they would pay $80, and then there's the shipping charge of $9, and then of course tax. So, you know, it hasn't gone up much, but if you want to just maintain your health, like this young fella here, you know, young, strong, but if he wants to just keep that immune system strong, one is good. If you have a health challenge, it depends on that health challenge as to what you should be taking. Now, when some people say, you know, you hear the statement, oh, it's too expensive. Well, okay, you're in Thunder Bay, your daughter's in Toronto, she gets a heart attack. Are you going to stay in Thunder Bay, or are you going to jump on a plane and go down to see her? What's expensive then?
Yeah.
You know, you see, you're dealing with a life and death situation.
If it's a drug now, will my health plan cover it?
Well, there's a situation whereby in the U.S., many of the companies are covering it because it's in the pharmaceutical red book in the U.S. It says the physician's desk reference book in the
Yeah.
U.S. It's in Canada. It's in the compendium of pharmaceuticals and specialties.
Uh-huh.
So, if you, it's in there, they just go in a doctor's office, Immunical, they'll see, there it is, okay?
Yeah.
Now, there was a test case in Ontario about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and they wouldn't pass it. But since that time, it seems more and more companies the insurance companies are starting to pay for it. If the doctor prescribes it,
Okay.
they'll pay for it.
Good.
Because would you rather cover, you know, the $100 a month, or would you rather pay out a $3 million death benefit? And as long as you keep that person alive and paying the premiums, you know, they're going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll keep you alive, want to keep you alive longer. So
Yeah.
that way you can test it. But in the States, it's more and more and more and more. I hear all kinds of good stories about it.
That is good news,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, you know, you can check that
I
out.
will.
Okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, and, you know, it's into a business. That Dr. Rogers, his daughter had fibromyalgia, young. And that when he saw what it did for her, because they live in Red Deer and my upline lives in Red Deer, so she gave her this book and a box of Immunical to take, and she was young, but she showed the book to her dad. And after a couple of months, he noticed how good she was starting to feel. And so he got going on it, and that's what I said. He started bringing it in, telling people about it, and he makes probably more now or close to it than he did in his chiropractic business.
Good.
You know, so that's the way it just spreads.
Wonderful.
It just spreads. And when you can get an entire speed skating team of 100 and some people, you know, and I'll bet you every one of those Frenchmen out in Quebec who race like crazy in that speed skating, they're all on it. There's no doubt about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's wonderful.
So anyway, if there's any questions, no, well, if there's any questions you want to answer, you want to call me, my phone
Yeah.
number's on the back of that
Yeah.
stuff I gave you, and I can furnish you that fellow who's just here with my wife has MS.
Yeah,
I've dealt with that many times. Parkinson's, I've seen people, they couldn't pick this up to read it.
Mhm.
There's a shaker bubble, they have to do that. They can't pick up a cup of coffee, they have to, or sip it.
Mhm.
And within 3 weeks, you would know she had it.
Mm.
And her husband had prostate cancer, and they both lived years.
Wonderful.
Years. None of it. He's still alive, she died. But
Where do you go for coffee these days, in case I can drag hubby out and we just happen to meet you?
I usually go